Hey, welcome back. And in this video, we're going to be covering storylines heading into the Florida Gator spring football camp. Now, today is, at the time of me recording this video at least, it's February 29th on a Thursday, and Florida Gators will open their spring football camp about a week from now, on March the 7th. Now, obviously, this is kind of a dead horse here, but 2024 is a make or break year for Billy Napier and his staff. You know, the last couple of spring games have never left the Gator faithful overall enthused by their performances. You know, especially last year, it was pretty pitiful watching the Florida Gators spring football game last year. But I think you're going to see a better performance this time. I think it's by far the best roster Billy Napier will have in his for the program, which isn't surprising, being that it's his third year. So heading into this spring game, obviously, there's a lot of players that are coming in striving to earn starting positions, trying to, prove that they can be the number one guy at the position on their depth chart, and then hopefully carry that momentum into fall camp, and then carry that momentum at the start of the regular season when Florida starts their season against Miami. So this post is not about the staff. It's going to be about 10 players that I believe that can benefit the most from this upcoming spring camp. Some are returning players from 2023. Some are true freshmen. Some are transfer portal additions. But overall, I nailed this list down to 10 players, and why I believe, this year is very important for them to set themselves up to be potential starters for the team. We're going to go from 10. We're going to start from 10 and go through number 1. Number 10, Brian Taylor Jr. He is a defensive line transfer from the JUCO leagues at Blaine College. Very experienced, has a lot of reps in his belt. Probably one of the reasons why he was so highly rated as a transfer coming out of the JUCO league. 2 seasons at Blaine College, made an all-conference team at SWJSC. Made a all-conference team appearance, and he was a top 5 rating when he was coming out. And he'll be working with new defensive line coach Gerald Bateman. At number 9 on this list, if you recognize this name, Miles Graham. If you recognize this name, it's because I talked about him in the video regarding the 5 most impactful freshmen that are on the Gators team right now. A lot of you guys love that video that I did. I got a lot of subscribers just based off of that video alone, so I appreciate the support. But I talked about it in that video, so if you want to hear more about it, go look through the history of the channel and you'll find that video. I had him number 2 on the potentially the most impactful freshman on the list, behind only Kanan Daniels, but he's not on this list because we're talking more about spring portal players throughout the entirety of the roster, not just the freshmen. Miles Graham, I think, is in a great position to play next to Shamar James, the Florida's junior returning leading tackler from last season, who was still the leading tackler even though he missed a couple of games towards the end. I'm really, 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 really liking Miles Graham. He was one of the highest rated recruits coming out of the state of Georgia when Florida was recruiting him. He was the very first 2024 commit of the Billy Napier era, and he stayed true to his word that he was going to play at Florida ever since. So I think he's in a prime position to compete at that linebacker spot. Number 8, Rodrick Kerney. Now, it was a little bit of a debate between Rodrick Kerney and Kanaje Harris. I guess I couldn't have went wrong with either one of these. I couldn't have went wrong with either one of these guys. But I've decided that Kerney was probably a little bit more of an under-the-radar guy than Kanaje Harris, because there was some love coming out for Kanaje Harris last year. So the fact that he's gotten a little bit more attention is why I went with Kerney, because I feel like he's more under the radar. He redshirted last year, didn't see a single snap, did not play a single snap last year in the 2023 season. He transferred from being an interior offensive lineman, a guard, to being the center. Well, I guess that's still interior, but you get what I mean. He went from being a guard to a center. Now, Florida already had 2 experienced players at that position in Kingsley Egwacom and Jake Slaughter at that position. So I want to see Rodrick Kerney take a massive jump, being that he was able to sit back from a full year to sit, watch, and learn. and Florida is gonna want him to make that massive jump because their offensive line is infamously bad. Another guy that could benefit this spring camp is Clay Millan. Now, I don't think he's threatening Graham Mertz for the starting job. I think with the way Graham Mertz improved last year and certainly played above my expectations and certainly earned the respect of his teammates last year, I think it's pretty obvious that Graham Mertz is going to be the starter. But Clay Millan, at the very least, can establish himself as a backup QB and to, sit back and, learn a new style of offense under Bill Napier and watch how Graham Mertz works. Watch his work ethic firsthand. He arrived on the campus after having 2 years at Colorado State. He only had 1 year length as a starting quarterback, threw for 1,900 yards, 10 touchdowns, and set a Colorado State record for completion percentage. Now, like I said, he's not fighting for a starting spot, but at least he can come in and be a good backup, which is what Florida needs because of Billy Napier is going to be coaching in Florida in 2025. He wants DJ Lagway to sit back, redshirt, develop, and just learn how to learn how to play the position. That was number, let's see here, 7. We're going from 10 through 1 from down to up. So that Clay Millan is number 7. Number 6, Mr. Dijon Johnson. If I can press the button, there it is. Dijon Johnson, there he is right there. Highly sought after recruit out of Tampa. Originally committed to Ohio State, but flipped to stay home to Sunshine State to the Florida Gators. He mainly was a special teams gunner throughout the 2023 season. He's in a position where the battling for the starting job at the cornerback spot is up for grabs. You have Jason Marshall Jr. returning for his senior season. But I think he was kicked up. He's going to be more of an inside guy because that's when you truly saw Jason Marshall at his best, playing inside rather than being a boundary guy. So I think he, along with fellow sophomore Jakeem Jackson and other players as well, like you would say maybe a Trequazi Bridges, the transfer from Oregon, those guys I think are going to be competing for that starting cornerback spot. Or maybe it's between Jakeem and Dijon, and maybe they're keeping Jason Marshall on the outside, but they're going to have Trequazi at the safety position. We'll find out once more information comes out of spring camp. He will hope to stand out because Florida's obviously going to be looking for their next shutdown corner because they haven't had one, in my opinion, since I would say probably since the mid 2010s. That's number 6. Number 5. R.J. Moten. Now he had a lot of hype coming in the spring portal last year from Michigan. He had a ton of potential and hype considering his experience of both defense and special teams in Ann Arbor, but he could not consistently beat out Miguel Mitchell or Jordan Castell for a starting spot and establish himself as he did for the Wolverines. And now Florida adding Asa Turner from Washington, who has starting experience himself. His chances of being a full-time starter in the safety position is getting tighter and tighter. So you can best believe he's going to want to put his best foot forward to, give himself a chance to compete for a spot. That's number 5. Number 4 was a player coming off of injury. Where is he? Right here, number 12, Justice Boone. He was viewed as the number 2 prospect coming out of the state of South Carolina when he was being recruited in the middle of the pandemic. He redshirted at Florida in 2021, only saw substantial action with Florida lost to UCF in the Gasparilla Bowl. Then he had an expanded role as a rotational player and played every game in 2022, and he was actually projected to be a starter in 2023, but he tore his ACL in spring training last year, so you can best believe he wants to come back and end things at Florida on a good note. I think he have maybe 1 more year of eligibility. I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. But, considering that he tore his knee last year and he appears to be close to getting back into the lineup, it's going to be real important for him to, end things on a right note and establish himself as possibly being a starter in a front 7 that Florida revamped this past offseason. That's number 5. Number 5 was R.J. Moten. Number 4 was Justice Boone. Number 3, Cam Carroll, Tulane transfer. Had a lot of experience playing for the Green Wave. was 5th on the team in 2019 in rushing yards, second place for the next couple of seasons on Tulane in rushing yards, and had 2022 cut short because of injury, and then had his 2023 season cut short because of injury. So kind of bad luck in term, couple of years of bad luck with injuries, and having 1 year of eligibility remaining, he probably might even think about entering the portal because of all the competition that Florida has at the running back spot with the 2 freshmen that are coming in, and Macho Johnson coming back. It's not going to be easy for him to be the number one guy, considering that the running back room is so deep. This could be his one last opportunity to be a full-time starter and to showcase himself. So that's number 3. Number 2, Allis Boardingham. The tight end position at Florida has been kind of been a giant question mark the last couple of years, but it seemed as if the green light was starting to come on for number 8. Had a nice game against Vanderbilt, followed up with a nice game against South Carolina, and you see flashes, but just not consistent enough play from the tight end spot to see who could be that true pass catching threat. So Allis Boardingham, I think, is in the prime position to win that starting job. When you look at the guys behind him, like Hayden Hansen, you have Gavin Hill, who transitioned from a defensive lineman to a tight end, so he's learning the position on the fly. And then they still haven't officially enrolled Amir Jackson yet, the commit out of Georgia. He's going to be gonna enroll in the summer. He won't be doing it in the spring. So right now, I think Allis Boardingham is in the catbird seat for that number 1 spot at the tight end position. He's number 2. And then the number 1 guy right here, Andy Jean, former Miami commit, a big-bodied 6'1" receiver who showed yards after catch ability. And, he's going to be in a tough room with a lot of good receivers, guys like Ray Hawkins and Trey Wilson and Aiden Mizell. You got Chimere DK from Wisconsin. A lot of talent at that wide receiver spot. So Andy Jean, I think this is a big pivotal year, and he really could use a strong sophomore jump to be that number 1 guy. To be the number 1 guy at Florida, he's got a little bit of a hill to climb. Not only does Florida have 2 proven starters in DK and Trey Wilson, but he's more than likely battling to be that number 3 spot guy. But I've always been an Andy Jean fan, and I'm not ready to give up on him yet. So those are my 10 guys who I think that could benefit the most from Florida's upcoming spring camp. That's my video. I appreciate you guys watching. Go Gators.